We're having a podcast.
In minutes.
Bear friend.
We're having a podcast.
Give me the mic, I'm gonna fuck up the mic.
Bear friend.
We're having a podcast. We're having a podcast.
Bear friend tea party.
Yeah, that is good.
You're listening to Bear Friend Tea Party.
Our podcast is recording.
With us tonight are tenacious LAPD homicide detective Christopher Winter.
Hello.
Hot tub expert Daniel Gunnard Beamish.
I intend to podcast.
American treasure Dr. Jonathan Bumpers.
Bear Friend Tea Party podcast.
And I'm talking pile of trash J.Mullis from North Carolina.
Well, talk, trash.
Bear Friend Tea Party. An elaborate practical joke being played on the creators of Bear Friend Tea Party by the rest of the world.
If you've just stepped into a strange van and this podcast is if you've just woken up in a bathtub full of ice and this podcast is playing, make sure you listen to the end for a secret message. You where the telephone is hidden. Well, what do we have on the program tonight, Jeremy?
My battery is down to 74% and I don't have an extension cord.
Well, we've got a great show for you tonight. Coming up on Bear Friend Tea Party episode 00043.
4-3.
Title of episode to be dubbed over later.
Segment 1, can somebody please explain Henry Rollins to me? Segment 2, how many randomly selected topics can I definitively settle in 60 seconds? Segment 3, controversial statements, the third. And segment 4, classic hip hop skits.
Wait, at least 2 of those are different from the last time I looked at the spreadsheet.
But before we get into that, let's go over to well, we did get one comment from on episode 00041 all about duck eggs.
Forgettable episode.
We got a comment from Cyborg Chevy Chase Dispenser, who writes, I found this podcast on iTunes while searching for information about duck eggs. It was a complete waste of my time in this regard. Not recommended.
Does he mention any other regards?
Classic.
That's fair.
That's the only regard he mentions. He seems like kind of a negative dude.
Is that as deep as the mailbag goes, Jay?
Well, okay, what else did we get? All right, God damn it. Let's see. Looks like also on that episode, that's episode 00041, all about duck eggs. Listener, super fan, and President of the United States, Drew Bees, wrote in to say, gentlemen, I am most disappointed in your humorous insertion of announcer Herbert Morrison's classic narration of the Hindenburg disaster during your segment on the 46 breast euphemisms. You perpetuated the gross and unfair, slanderous lie that the famous, suave, and stentorian-voiced Mr. Morrison was afflicted with a shrill, high-pitched, and reedy squeak. As argued by Michael Beale, a communications professor at Morehead State University, among others, the literature on this is incontrovertible. Due to an error by recording engineer Charlie Nelson, or possibly a defect in the equipment, it is not entirely clear which, the original recording of Morrison's dramatic and historic monologue, which was not aired live, as is commonly assumed by many, but rather played back for broadcast the following day, was erroneously recorded at a rate that was approximately 3% too slow, with the resulting effect that when it was later transferred to Wax Master at what was assumed to be the correct speed, it became too fast. It is this version with which most people are familiar today. This is, despite the good work of Professor Beale and others over many years. The fight for the truth will continue, and the honest legacy of Herbert Morrison will be properly recognized. You can hear the pitch-corrected, honest account of Herbert Morrison's rich, sonorous baritone right here, and then he inserts a YouTube link.
Honestly, I am very disappointed in Bear Friend Tea Party. I expect more from you guys. Anyway, great episode.
Oh, so he ends it on a positive note, at least.
He does. He ends it on a positive note. I guess, to Drew B's...
Isn't he usually a little more succinct?
He is...
Well, he was trying to hit the character minimum. I think there should be a character minimum.
It's possible that was the State of the Union address.
You have to be a real character because he's the president. Yeah, no, I got that. Okay,
Yeah, those run a little long.
Right.
right. Hopefully he got a cold and died.
What?
Come on, William Henry Harrison.
I think that was
Nobody?
the inauguration.
That was the
but- yeah, it's the inauguration. but-
Yeah.
He didn't make it. He didn't make it to this State of the
So,
Union.
president, same thing. President.
yeah, good point.
Anyway,
Good point.
Yeah, no.
yeah, actually, Drew B's, you're wrong. The truth is that real life is actually faster than you perceive it at, or something. Let's move on to
let's cut that
corrections
whole part.
and addenda.
The Hindenburg was staged, right?
It was Photoshopped.
No, it was a hologram.
It's much smaller.
I mean, if you look in between frames 192 and 193, you can clearly see some lens flare that came from the wrong angle. It was all on a studio.
Yeah. So
was
first
actually-
Tupac
it was
and then the
actually-
Hindenburg. Yeah.
It was
it
actually,
was actually recorded on the moon.
It was actually
It's actually the Graf Zeppelin.
it was Stanley
actually the
Kubrick
Titanic.
directed it. Actually,
recorded
Yeah, it's
on
actually-
a lunar sound stage.
it was a giant boat falling from the sky in flames.
You can Photoshop the dog in.
Audio shop.
Well, let's move on to corrections and addenda. John, I believe you
I did have one.
had a correction, so why don't you start us off with that?
That sounds good.
Wait. Okay. I have a small correction. This is in reference to episode 00029, the John Hughes ring cycle. During our discussion of the classic Disney afternoon cartoon, Disney's Adventures of the Gummy Bears.
Classic cartoon.
Thank you.
Classic afternoon.
Danny, you said that the Disney afternoon quote jumped the shark with the introduction of Goof Troop. I just want to correct that. It was actually bonkers. That was the point at which the Disney afternoon jumped the shark.
It was bonkers when they introduced Goof Troop. It's true.
Yeah, that was bonkers. It was a bonkers decision.
I've never heard of bonkers.
Yeah, that's because it jumped the shark.
Bonkers is like way on the other side of the shark, man. Everybody knows about what.
Bonkers is for listeners at home. Bonkers was a show featuring a character of the same name, who was a bobcat, who was a policeman, and also a washed-up cartoon star, sort of a Roger Rabbit kind of sensibility.
No one listens to this podcast at home. No one listens to this podcast. 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 No one listens to this podcast.
Jeremy, I believe you have a correction.
Yeah, on episode 00039, The Age of Complex Sandwiches, we did a
Classic
50 fictional
episode.
horses
Classic
blitz
age.
quiz. And
Classic
in
correction.
this 50 fictional horses blitz quiz, I'd like to move that we remove 3 horses from that, for the reason that they were not fictional horses. And I think they should be stricken from the record, and the scores should be adjusted accordingly. Number 25, horse number 25 was Music from the song A Horse Called Music. My problem with this one is that in the context of that song, I had always interpreted the horse called music as an extended metaphor for the life of a touring musician, as opposed to a literal horse. So the point I would make is that this is kind of like saying that the Little Red Corvette in the Prince song Little Red Corvette was a fictional car. No.
Because Prince is dead.
No.
Because Prince sucks.
No. It's a metaphor for a hot little number that Prince had sex with.
I don't know that song. But I get
Little
the
Red
metaphor.
Corvette.
But
No,
you
that's
know
a good
that
song.
hot number.
So
I have
that-
been in a Corvette.
But
so.
you know, Jeremy,
Prince, you
it's not
dog.
a real. It's not a real car, though, is it?
Well, it's not a real car, but that doesn't
It's a
make
fictional.
it a fictional.
It's a
I
fictional.
guess it's
metaphor.
not also like a fictional duck. Because
Look, I'll be honest. Of my three potentially problematic horses, this is the one I'm the least sure of, and I'd appreciate your own thoughts. Like maybe Willie Nelson's intent was that it was a real horse, but also kind of operated on another level as well.
I mean, Willie Nelson is a maniac.
I mean, a metaphor, like Jeremy, a metaphor is a thing that stands for another thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be a thing. And that thing can either be a real thing or a fictional thing, right?
Or it could just be like an idea, or
In light of Chris's comments, I agree with Jeremy.
Yeah,
What's the
see, there
second
you
one?
go.
I think we should vote on these. I think if we have a tie, Danny should. It was Danny's segment, so I think he should get the deciding vote. In this case, he also knows the most about Willie Nelson.
I vote them all down. 50 is
Yeah,
the
I'm
much-
not familiar with that song.
50 is a great number.
All right. I say strike this one from the record.
Okay,
Fine.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
The second horse that I would like to move to strike from the record is horse number 36, Traveler, the mascot of USC. I have two issues with this so-called fictional horse. Number one, this horse is based on Robert E. Lee's horse, who was a real horse. And number two,
He's not even
At
from
US
California.
and number two, this is not like a mascot where it's like a dude with a big papier-mâché horse head that comes out and does funny dances. They use a real horse at the games. They bring it out on the field. It's a real horse, and that horse is named Traveler. That
Wait,
is
so-
the horse's name.
Jeremy,
So
the horse,
they're actually-
the horse is based on Robert E. Lee's horse?
Yes, and they have a real-life horse named Traveler portraying Robert E. Lee's horse on the field
So-
at games. They are currently on
So
Traveler
it's-
the 7th.
It's
that was-
so
that
it's
was gonna be my
highly
question.
it's highly likely that that horse is a racist.
Jeremy, I think the fact that the horse is played by different horses over the course of its life it just goes to show that it is fictional. I mean, the horses are.
Well, I mean,
playing a
are
role.
these?
But
I mean, are they horse actors?
They
Or
are
is it,
real
John-
horses named Traveler.
John, is it?
Are they-
Are they like horse actors portraying a role, or is it like how you have Dalai Lama after Dalai Lama after Dalai Lama, and it's like more of a title?
I would the example I had in this case is that I think this is similar to Colonel Sanders, where you have a real person named Colonel Sanders who did exist, and then after that you did have like people posing as Colonel Sanders, or likewise, Mark Twain. You have like Val Kilmer playing Mark Twain after that, but there still was a real Mark Twain.
Was
like-
there?
Are there?
There, I mean,
Colonel
what,
Sanders
Jeremy?
impersonators
Jeremy,
like there are
wait,
elsewhere?
Let's stick with Colonel Sanders.
Jeremy. Was there a real Mark Twain?
I think if you wanted to make the argument that Traveler was hyper real, I might be with you. But if you're making the argument that the horse Traveler is fictional, I'm sorry. Because I can point to a real life horse who had that name, and then I can point to 8 real life horses named Traveler, who I think
he makes a persuasive case.
I think.
So look,
I'm
I
not
think
sure
this
I
is
can,
pro-
I agree
I
with
think
your
this is
reasoning,
more
Jeremy,
like an-
but
I think this is-
I think your
is-
conclusion is
Bear Friend Tea Party.
No,
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like these horses are actors portraying the role of traveler. They're taking on the mantle of traveler.
Right.
I
Right, it's a
assume that
mantle.
when one traveler dies,
another one comes into existence.
In every generation, there is a chosen one.
yeah, if it were, 50 occult horses blitz quiz, fine.
So I'm gonna
Segment 1.
I think
50 occult
the
horses.
fact that they're
blitz
named
quiz.
after
Traveler!
they're named after Robert E. Lee's horse. I feel like that's a bit of a red herring.
Travel.
the fact.
The fact that
The
they're I
fact-
think that has nothing to do with whether or not it's a fictional horse.
The fact that they're named off Robert E. Lee. Well, Robert E. Lee did have a horse called Traveler, right?
great, but
John,
and the mascot
John,
But I'm not
is-
talking about that horse.
I'm not talking about that.
I'm not talking about that.
you acknowledge that horse was a white supremacist.
That's not what I'm talking about at all.
No.
The horse
Race
didn't-
horse, not racist horse. Race
No.
horse.
The-
I mean, you're bringing race into it.
Chris, stop playing the race card. All right, okay. And this one is okay. I have one final horse, and this is really the most. This one is pretty cut and dry. Horse number 47, Seabiscuit, was a real horse. That is the name of a real life racehorse. The fact that they made a shitty movie. The fact that they made a shitty movie about that racehorse does not mean that the horse was fictional. It's like saying that Stephen Hawking was fictional because they made a shitty movie about him that I didn't see.
Why
I
didn't
mean, a
you know
lot
that?
of people believe that Stephen Hawking was staged on a Hollywood.
I think that particular joke is getting
growing tiresome?
a little played out.
Actually, the segment itself was mistitled because there were 51 horses named.
Really?
Or 48.
Now there are only exactly.
Yeah, now there's 40
So it's
yeah.
still mislabeled.
It was the name of the segment was intended to be approximate.
Yeah, it's a nice round number.
Approximately
It's not like
fictional horses.
it rolls off the tongue. Unlike 46 euphemisms for breasts.
Which I think was
I thought that
also the wrong number, wasn't it?
No, that was
Most
correct.
of them were not
that?
euphemisms.
Right. That's
Right.
Has been-
7 or 8 euphemisms for
Right.
breasts.
The number was correct.
I have a correction. Back in episode 00020, The Jefferson Abacus, Chris, you led a segment called "Is the Constitution Bullshit?"
Correct.
Segment.
Great segment.
So at one point in the segment, the question was raised of why the Constitution does not have a soundtrack.
How can anything without a soundtrack not be bullshit?
Right, exactly. And at one point it was asked of Chris what his soundtrack to the Constitution would be. And he Chris, you suggested that it would start with a jail cell slamming.
Yep.
It's a cell block door. Yeah.
Cell block door.
After which a fat beat would come in.
Right.
And when I was editing that podcast, I did indeed bring up a fat beat. However, the correction, it's more of a corrective addendum, actually. I would like to edit into that fat beat a robot voice reciting the Constitution.
Okay.
I thought that was in there, but I guess I was just imagining it.
You know,
Could you
I-
also get a real sexy, dirty bass line as well?
there is one.
I have a robot in my house that is constantly reciting the Constitution at
Constantly
all times,
urinating.
24 hours a day. So I probably just was hearing that at the time because I too had thought that was there. But segment 1, can somebody please explain Henry Rollins to me?
Oh, I have some notes on this segment.
Look,
Jeremy,
no,
can
go
I
ahead.
read?
No.
Can I read my notes to start?
you know what? That's
took-
fine.
I
Yeah,
prepared
really
some notes.
just
I prepared some notes for this segment.
The man prepared some notes. Let him read them.
do it.
Did you do that on purpose, Jeremy?
No.
That's the name of a Rollins band song. Do it.
I didn't know that.
Really?
I know very... No, look.
Do it!
Look,
Don't think about it! Do it!
Look, regular listeners to this podcast,
I swear,
will know that, like, I know a lot of shit. Like, like I am a knowledgeable dude. I have a breadth and depth of knowledge that is formidable.
No
But
argument here.
There are areas where I still have questions, and when I have questions, I like to bring them to my Bear Friend Tea Party panel to have them answered. So, I mean, and one thing that, I mean, basically, like, can somebody please explain Henry Rollins to me? I guess is what I'm saying.
Jeremy, would you say that your ignorance on this topic gives you a low self-opinion?
Of Henry Rollins?
Self-opinion.
Self-opinion.
Wait. Are you Henry Rollins?
Well, he has a low SO, that's for sure.
Just a point of order.
That's one thing I'd like to
where's
clear
the
up tonight.
disconnect there?
Okay. Let me run down what I think I know, and maybe you guys can jump in and help me.
Please.
Henry Rollins, big guy, right? Bulky, muscular dude. He was in a band called The Black Flag. Is that correct? That's right. And that.
No, there's no article, right?
He was in a band called Black Flag.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if Danny hadn't already checked out of the segment, he would be able to tell you.
And
Jeremy, I do have a prepared. My prepared response is no. Sorry, I don't know anything about Henry Rollins.
Okay,
does that help at all?
That does not help. So
is that helpful to you?
So Henry Rollins was in a band called Black Flag. That band, if I'm correct, was fairly well respected.
I think that's true.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That band was a punk rock band.
Well,
perhaps even a
I think they were
hardcore punk band.
Yeah, seminal hardcore punk band.
Okay,
he wasn't the lead. He wasn't the original lead singer of Black Flag. I think he was a roadie for Black Flag.
Oh,
I think, and he somehow became the lead. I don't know.
So he came in later and became the front man,
or he was a roadie for Minor Threat or some. I don't know. He was part of that group of bands that like everybody says matter, but really the bands that they went on to form later are what are good.
Okay, this is undermining a lot of what I thought. And so the Black Flag is unrelated to the well-known household insecticide. Correct?
Maybe, except in terms of influence.
Okay, let's move on.
I thought it was
Henry
Jeremy.
Rollins
I think it would be funny if you continued referring to them as the Black Flag, or perhaps even the Black Flags.
The Rollins band.
Okay, I'll do that. Edit that out. Okay, so after the Black Flag, Henry Rollins was in another band called It's Henry Rollins Band.
This is the theme to Rollins Band. The theme to Rollins Band.
A moment of silence, snot and tears for that shit.
And seriously,
right,
and seriously. That band, It's Henry Rollins Band, was less well respected generally than the Black Flag.
Well, it depends on who you're asking. If you're asking a bunch of obnoxious people, yeah, it was less well respected.
I think it's pretty clear that he's asking a bunch of obnoxious people.
Okay, and then here's
it's understood
touché.
From context.
Here's the and then did he also like into spoken word or some
his
shit?
spoken word
like
is actually better than his music.
He's a writer. He's a blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
and then he's a writer
An actor. I don't know.
I thought maybe he acted. So
Yeah, he acted in the music
Okay.
videos.
Well,
for
hold on.
his
I
band.
just I don't
appears
get it.
in
I
films.
don't. I'm sorry. This is
What don't you
It's
get?
gone off the rails.
what am I? So what am I to make of this? Should I like Henry Rollins?
He is a little. He's very confusing because you're not sure. He's okay. Most hardcore vocalists or hardcore music, even it's when it's serious and making a point, it's usually like outward and political, and very sort of like, here's why the world sucks and here's what should be different. But Henry Rollins is very insular, and it's like he turns things around on himself. It's like, I should be this way, and myself is messed up, and ooh, my mind
is
Yeah,
so
it's very.
is-
He's very existential.
But when he's talking about things other than himself, he's talking about people. He's saying, "You do this. Your mind." It's all very individual. Like I've been going through all of his songs, and he says the word "my mind," the phrase "my mind," in like at least 9 of his songs. And it's just really weird because he used to be a punk, like you said, a hardcore vocalist who just like rambles and yells. But when he became when he started the Rollins band, he had this group of musicians who were doing God knows what they were trying to do. And then he just kept sort of like doing his thing over top of it, but it became less intense, but sort of just like still just as intent.
Danny, was the Rollins band the one with that liar song?
The Liar.
Like, I'm a liar.
Yeah,
And
it's
was
called
that-
The Liar? Yeah.
The band was called
was
The
that
Liars,
how
right?
was that connected with the John Lovitz character? Like, not at all.
They threw us all in a trench and stuck a monument on top.
And when I came to, who do you think was next to me? Amelia Earhart. Yeah, and I said, "Hey, Amelia, how you doing?" And she said, "Not good."
The John Lovitz liar guy, was that
Jay
that were
Sherman?
not connected?
No, the
Jay
critic.
Sherman?
The critic.
Yeah, Jay
No,
Sherman.
the liar.
Happiness.
All critics
No,
are
the liar.
liars. All
Other
critics are
films.
liars.
Yeah.
It stinks.
All critics are liars. Jay Sherman is a critic. Therefore, Socrates is a liar.
Was its Henry Rollins band emo?
No, but they were emotional.
I just don't get it. Are certain things are there like some things that Henry Rollins was involved in that are just kind of like basically accepted as jokes? Like, that's some dumb shit he did, but like I feel like most people have the opinion that Black Flag was good and everything else was kind of dumb, but maybe what I'm hearing from you is that's not the case.
No, I feel like a lot of people really respect the Rollins band, especially, I mean, as musicians. They have a very tight rhythm section and a guitar player that just who knows what he's doing. His riffs are basically solos.
Is he playing the guitar?
So I guess, okay, you do know what he's doing to an extent, but...
Well, that was actually going to be my question. Like, does he just sing or does he play an instrument?
No, it's just he's like a little out there. But there is. What is your question?
He does please explain Henry Rollins to me? Like, okay,
he has a sense of humor. Like, there are things. He has recorded music that is definitely supposed to be funny. Like, he did an EP under the name of Henrietta Collins with a backing band called the Wife Beating Child Haters.
Oh, and this was funny?
Well, it's supposed to be like, you know.
You're laughing, aren't you?
It was like a surf. It was
already.
like a surf rock band. Their EP was called Drive By Shooting.
Okay.
I mean,
So
it's supposed to be a commentary, but it's supposed to be light. It's supposed to make you laugh, but mean something. You know, it's obnoxious to an extent.
This has actually answered a lot of my questions about Henry Rollins. I feel like I do have a fuller understanding of Henry Rollins at this time than I once did. I don't feel like I really need to get into Henry Rollins.
No. Jeremy, would you say that
you?
you understand Henry Rollins better, worse, or the same amount as you understand David Bowie?
Better.
Oh,
Definitely better.
I'd say our work here is done.
Nice.
You know who I like? Sonny Rollins. Hey,
So,
wait, time out just a sec. I'm at 50% power.
Okay, let's go.
Would you object if we put segment 3 up real quick? Because it will literally take 60 seconds. And just get
but
that
you
done
have
because
50 minutes.
I may skip out before classic hip hop skits could take hours. You can put it back in post. You can put it back to segment 3.
No. Asked and answered, Chris. No. Answer is no. All right, segment 2. How many randomly selected topics can I definitively settle in 60 seconds? Danny, do you have that timer ready?
I do.
All right. First,
I'm ready.
The first randomly selected topic is. I'm just rotating this giant mesh
Is it a spinner?
ball of smaller ping pong balls with numbers on them, and the first number is 421.
All right, number 421 is shovel versus rake mock sword fight.
Shovel wins. Next.
557.
It's heavier.
557 is classic Ennio Morricone film scores. Duck, You Sucker, a.k.a. Fistful of Dynamite.
Fistful of Dollars is the best of his. Next.
63.
63, Quality Spectrum Analysis, Christmas Novelty Songs.
Pass.
That's going to be 279.
279 is potatoes. Love me some potatoes.
Strongly agree. Next.
556.
556 is classic Ennio Morricone film scores. Once Upon a Time in the West.
Not as good as Fistful of Dollars.
Time. And that's all the time we have time for.
That was what? That was 3?
I think.
Yeah, you did not do well.
Yeah, I mean, I blame myself.
Well, half of the time is spent like with one person calling out the number, the other person looking for the number.
I strongly suggested having them randomly pre-selected, but I respect the judge's decisions.
Well, let's try it again with it randomly selected.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we can do it next episode.
But not now.
Yeah, not now.
3. That's my current top score.
Well, 3. That's how many you answered. How many did you get right?
I might stick with this segment for a while.
Gentlemen, the answer to the question is 3. The actual segment doesn't need to have any of this bullshit in it. The question is how many topics. The answer is 3.
Moving on.
Segment 3, a series of controversial statements, part 3.
Okay, so I have a list of statements. I think we're pretty familiar with this segment by now.
And John, do you want us to issue controversial statements as well, or you just want to do it?
As the spreadsheet for this episode indicates, you are welcome to provide additional controversial statements, but it did say that. All right. All right, somebody's going to put some humorous music under this, which will start now. Okay. I like the new LED Christmas lights.
Yeah.
I think music sounds better on 8-track. Shorts are just broken pants. I think we should get rid of both pi and tau as well as circles. I don't use soap because it feels like cilantro. I don't think quantum mechanics and relativity need to be reconciled. Billiards and table tennis are actually the same game. I think plaid is slimming. Zebras can be domesticated. It's just that no one's tried hard enough. And that is all.
Very, very Well said, John. Does anyone have additional controversial statements?
I have 2 controversial statements. Number one, there are a good many businesses like show business. And number 2, go ahead and mess with Texas. They like it.
That's controversial. All right.
Segment 4. Classic hip-hop skits.
When I came up with the segment topic, classic hip-hop skits, I thought it would bear tons of fruit.
Did you think that there were more good hip-hop skits? Because I had a similar experience.
Yeah, I did, because I was like, okay, well, I'll just think of these any minute now. And I thought of some, but I think that the ones that are considered classic are not ones that I remember or ever really liked. And the ones that I did recall were either not actually hip-hop or were not as good as I remember upon playing back, or really short. Just maybe like a couple
You're
lines.
complaining that they were too short?
Yeah,
They weren't quite short. They weren't even really
not
long
the
enough
rapper
to be,
too short, but
right. Thank you. They weren't even long enough to be considered skits. Like they were just like an intro.
just like, give me the mic. I'm gonna fuck up the mic. Come on.
Yeah, I mean that's an example. But
That's
yeah,
an example.
I mean, like most of them were actually more accurately R&B skits, and which 100% of which could be attributed to R. Kelly. And
Like, hey, my helicopter just landed, baby. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
I'm referring to the 3-minute spoken intro to his track "Marry the Pussy" from 2013.
That's hardly classic if it's only 3 years old.
No, it was classic, like at 1:50, man. Like
It's an instant classic.
before it was even. Yeah, no, it's really
Before they were done recording it, it was a
No, it was because the skit basically he calls up a friend of his to to brag about how he had written a new song. He's so excited about
shit.
it.
You know what I mean? Hot, dog. Hot.
I know it is hot, nigga, coming from you. Shit, nigga, you'll write a song about any motherfucking thing.
You already know.
These hoes around here wetting the motherfucker. R. Kelly.
He's so excited about having written a new song that he has to call up his friend. And
As opposed to just repackaging the same song with like a different lyrics and a new like video.
yeah, no, he calls up his friend, and it just so happens that he wakes up his friend
Nigga, answer the fucking
while he's
phone.
in bed at a hotel room with a woman he doesn't know. And they like have an extended argument in the hotel room where he kicks her out of the hotel room. It goes on for like 2.5 minutes while R. Kelly is just kind of on the line saying like, "You want me to call you back? You want me to call you back?"
Nigga, you want me to call you back?
No, nigga, no, I'm up now. Shit, what's up?
All right, my nigga, listen. Nigga about to go and pop that question, dog.
Well, we can't. We're not just here to listen to R. Kelly.
That's a different podcast. In retrospect, almost the entire conceit of the skit is unnecessary. I mean, it's a phone call. That's fine, but the fact that his friend is at a hotel with a woman that he wants to make walk home and get rid of and lock in the bathroom, apparently, you could lose all that. It's kind of funny.
That is common to every romance.
It's kind of funny when they are talking a whole lot and R. Kelly's just kind of sitting on the phone going, "Yeah, you want me to call you back?" It's kind of funny, but it's the skit really starts when R. Kelly says like, "I got to run something by you." You know, it could start there.
Yeah, I mean the lyrics to the song "Marry the Pussy," like the premise is pretty clear, like from the beginning. So it's like you almost didn't even really need the additional context for that to make sense. But I do agree with you. That skit was, in fact, like the skit almost, it's kind of humorously at odds with the song, if anything, like because the song would seem to be like praising this woman or pussy, as the case may be, that he's going to marry.
No, very explicitly not a woman, just the pussy. I don't think it's symbolic. I don't think it's like crass. I think it's like he's actually talking about just the vagina of some woman. And he thinks he's a genius.
It's not crass? Wait, could you please explain that?
It's not. He doesn't even realize it's demeaning. He's not even saying like, "Oh, the woman is just her pussy." He's like just talking.
Right.
He's like so
simply not relevant.
Insular, right? He's like, oh, he's only talking to.
He hasn't even met the woman yet. He's saving that for marriage.
Right, he's just so